Hello, this is David, and in this video I just wanted to share with you a piece of nutritional insight that I've stumbled across recently, which I think not only is incredibly interesting, but also has the potential to make healthy eating easier for us over the long term, which we can also leverage to make things easier when it comes to fueling ourselves in our fueling and racing as master swimmers, and thereby accelerate the improvement of our swim times. So I stumbled across this piece of nutritional insight when listening to a Modern William podcast, where the host of the podcast, Chris Williamson, was talking to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon in general about building muscle, health and fitness, and nutrition. And the key piece of insight that I took away from this podcast episode was that we as humans are incredibly habitual when it comes to our eating, where we typically cycle through the same 5 to 10 meals on a regular basis. And so the reason as to why I thought this was interesting is because ultimately it means that you've got an eating system set up that you are subconsciously going through on a regular basis, and depending on what your training routine is at the same time, that's either on autopilot, taking you away from or taking you towards your athletic goals. So the reason why I found this interesting is because ultimately it sort of states the solution when it comes to shaking up your nutrition in order to help you achieve better swimming times. So the way people traditionally go about improving their nutrition is to consciously think about each meal and snack that they are eating throughout the course of the day and try to sustain that over the long term. And the issue with that is that it's incredibly effortful. First off, it takes a whole load of willpower and effort, and therefore it makes it really difficult to sustain over the long term, where the typical outcome is that many people give up and divert back to the same habits that they were conducting before. However, if you think about the foods that you eat in advance and therefore try to change your eating habits so that those 5 to 10 meals contain the nutritional profile that you want that starts taking you towards your goals, ultimately you can eat more healthy consistently whilst being on autopilot. If you just change those 5 to 10 meals such that in alignment with your training program, they come together and take you on the path that you want to be on, then once those 5 to 10 meals become habit and you're eating them consistently, you then don't actually need to consciously think about healthy eating anymore. The nutritional profile aligns with the nutritional criteria that you need to achieve in order to support your training, be that either to help you lose weight or to gain muscle. And therefore, you can just keep things going on autopilot. And therefore, so long as you're keeping up both the same training routine and eating regime, then all you need to do is have patience and wait. Obviously, if there are any changes to the training regimen, then you've got to make small changes to what you eat. However, that is a whole lot easier than merely having to make a conscious decision at each and every mealtime as to what you're going to eat and whether that is going to take you towards the nutritional criteria that you need to meet in order to progress towards your goals. And therefore, ultimately what that means is that when it comes to shaking up your nutrition because you want to improve your health and fitness, your swim times, then ultimately what you need to do is try and work out the nutritional criteria that you need to achieve in advance in order to take you towards your swim times. Then create a meal plan, create a set of 5 to 10 meals that are going to hit those nutritional targets. And then ultimately what you just want to be doing is cycling through them, make them habit, try and ingrain them into your daily and weekly routine. And then once you've achieved that, in theory, all that happens is that you're then on autopilot, and things are taking you towards the athletic goal that you want to achieve. Now, naturally, you may need to shake things up, because if you're in a period of weight loss and then decide that it's best for you to gain some weight, then ultimately you're going to have to change that set of 5 to 10 meals such that it takes you away from weight loss and into muscle gain, and vice versa. So you need to change those 5 to 10 meals to take you away from muscle gain and into weight loss. However, I think the writing on the wall is in that when it comes to trying to improve our decisions, most of the time, most people are getting it completely wrong. They're trying to do it consciously. They're trying to think about every little thing that they eat, where instead they just need to change that system so that it aligns them, puts them on the right track, and then just need to focus on making that habit. And it can be quite a simple thing to do. Although you may burn off different numbers of calories on different days, because ultimately you train differently on different days, at the same time, what you can do is just come up with a meal plan for each and every type of day, and then make those habits. So maybe Monday that you eat this when you have this type of training on, Tuesday you eat this when you have this type of training on, etc, etc. Or, if you have this type of training on this day, then this is what you eat, or this type of training on this day, this is what you eat, and if you have no training at all, then this is what you eat. And we already achieve this to some extent with our habitual eating anyway, because it is very much likely that when we're on a work day, we have a traditional, a traditional habit of the things we eat. We may have cereal, bit of coffee, we pick up the same sandwich from the supermarket, etc, etc. So we've got our, weekday nutritional plan, and then on the weekend we may shake things up. We may instead go for a bacon sandwich, full fry up, whatever. But you probably, if you look at things day to day, your weekdays are probably going to look pretty much very similar when it comes to your eating habits, and then again on your weekends as well. So it's just, instead of aligning your nutritional plan or your nutritional habits with your work profile, instead change it to align with your training regime, so that on said day you eat what you need to eat to ensure that you benefit from your training or benefit from your recovery. And then instead of having to think, I've burned off this many number of calories today, I need this much protein today, and therefore this and this is what I'm going to eat. Does this align with what I want? Does that align with what I want? Ultimately, instead, all you've got to do is say, this is Monday, this is the training that I'm doing, therefore this is what I need to eat. And I can be confident in the fact that it's going to take me there. And, if things don't quite go how you plan on a Monday, then you need to tweak it ever so slightly in line with what does or doesn't happen. But that is a whole lot easier than having to start from scratch and just having, a blank sheet of paper with regards to what you eat on any given day, and try to align it as you go on throughout the course of the day. If you've got a nice plan, a nice sort of base structure there to play with, it's a lot easier to amend and tweak things nutritionally rather than having to do it all from scratch. So I hope you found this piece of nutritional insight helpful. I think it's, incredibly powerful, and just encourages me to believe that making healthy eating easier over the long term is just ultimately possible. And therefore, instead of trying to consciously think about what you're eating throughout the course of the day and trying to align that with a set of nutritional targets, ultimately what you want to do is the reverse. Understand what your nutritional targets are, work out what will enable you to hit those targets, come up with meals in order to hit those targets, and therefore from there just make those meals habitual. So I've been David Westcough. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you again next time. Subscribe to my channel to make sure that you're notified of whenever I upload any new videos. Click on the thumbnail to watch another video of mine, or for my fellow master swimmers, to gain clarity and confidence on how to eat in order to improve your swim times, head to westcough.com/masterclass.